What is up, everybody? Josh Tapp here again, and welcome back to the Lucky Titan. And today we're here with Chris Williams. And I've been thinking about the intro for Chris for a little bit because him and I have become friends. He is actually now coaching me as well. This guy he really knows what it takes to build a hyper profitable mastermind. And for those of you who've been following me for any amount of time, that's something we're very heavily invested in is building masterminds, really just gathering people and putting them into the right place. So Chris, I'm excited to talk today about this because this guy has actually he's running a very successful mastermind business in like 2 to 4 hours a week, something ridiculous. Mm-hmm. He's living the 4-hour work week. So Chris, say what's up to everybody first off, and we'll hop in.
Josh, man, thanks again for having me. I was just saying to Josh before we jumped on the interview, I mean, I just freaking love podcast interviews because I block out 2 sections a week to do 2 interviews a week, they just book them out, and interviews are so fun because you don't have to think about what you're going to do. I get to show up and not lead. Oh my gosh. I love leading a mastermind. Don't get me wrong, but when you get to show up and just answer questions, it's so relaxing and fun. So this is the last thing on my calendar today. Dude, let's just chill and have fun.
Yeah, I was saying, guys, it's only 2:00. So, and he probably woke up an hour ago, right? I'm just kidding, Chris. So yeah, no, it's awesome. And I agree. The reason I love interviews for this reason and podcasts is because it's not about preparation. It has everything to do with let's just have a good conversation and the best stuff comes out of it most of the time.
Mm-hmm. So true.
I just want you to walk through first, riff a little bit about the mastermind process and how you're helping people to scale masterminds.
Yeah. So here's the kind of the soup and nuts of it. I got into teaching how to build a mastermind accidentally. I think that's kind of the case with a lot of entrepreneurial ventures. They just happen to you, right? You work, and then all of a sudden it just happens. So I run a digital agency that brands and builds prospecting models for high ticket surgeons. Okay. That's completely off brand for this conversation. I read the 4-hour work week about 7 or 8 years ago, and I stopped working 14-hour days and started working maybe less than an hour a week in that agency now. People started asking me, how do you do that, Chris? How'd you build an effective agency? That is what sprung me into leading a mastermind. I started teaching people how to do what I knew how to do. I had figured something out. Others wanted that. And so I started taking 15 people at a time through a process of learning how to build a digital marketing agency, in effect. And then what happened next totally shocked me, because about half the people, a little more than half the people that I would take to that process that are digital marketing experts building an agency, they're like, Chris, we like watching you do the mastermind thing. Can you show us how to build a mastermind? I was like, no freaking way. The next iteration of the product is building a mastermind to teach people how to build a mastermind. It's a circle. I love that. So now I have the digital agency, have a mastermind that teaches people how to build that effective digital agency model, and have a mastermind that teaches people how to build masterminds. It's just really funny, actually.
The funny thing about this, and this is where Chris and I hit it off at the beginning, that has literally been my journey as well. It's like you started an agency because you're like, well, I've got to provide a living for my family. Yeah. I don't want to work for somebody. I'm going to start my own business. Then you figure it out. And then people start asking you, how did you do that? And you're like, I don't really know. Let me figure it out and I'll make a course and a program around it. So, and I love the progression of this and of your story, especially Chris, because it really shifted from growth to contribution, right? Mm-hmm. You went from, hey, I'm going to grow as fast as I can. And now I want to give back. And what people don't realize in a lot of cases, they feel like they have to go from growth to philanthropy, right? Mm-hmm. You immediately have to go to where you're like, you start a nonprofit or something. But what you're talking about is let's create a setting where you're still very hyper profitable. You're making a lot of money, but you're actually helping somebody, giving back in a way. That's what I love about the mastermind model is it's just teaching what you know. You're only a step ahead of the next person, right?
That's so true. And there was a little step in there that I didn't mention, Josh, and it's the piece where when I learned how to do what I did in my agency, I actually tried to build an e-course. And going back to this, just adding value and doing the right thing for people, I think I'm a pretty okay guy. But I tried 5 different e-course models. I tried to build and launch an e-course 5 times, over $100,000 in ad spend, all the funnels, we've all been there. Got this great idea, build the content, try to launch it. And I completely failed. And then somebody at a high ticket mastermind that I was involved in pulled me aside and said, dude, you need to teach a mastermind. Forget this e-course thing. And I was like, no, nobody wants to learn what I got. I'm like, no, you're doing it backwards. You're trying to convince people that you know what they need, but you need to just get out there and listen and find out what they need and then teach them live, get paid while you're doing it. Then you can record all of that and turn it into an e-course. And we've done that, and wow, it works. But it was the organic relationships doing it live that actually made the whole thing work, because I could give in real time, not in a vacuum. It's so different, you know. It's actually really, I want to say, meaningful to me. Like, I feel really good about this, and that's different. Huh.
Right. Yeah. And I honestly, I mean, I really think what it comes down to is it's an opportunity for you to actually get on somebody's level, because I've done the same thing, right? We had like 42 different courses at one point,
Oh my gosh.
covering tons of different topics, varying price levels. And the reality was that all of them, brought in a little bit of money. But what I was seeing is people would come through my programs and not see a lot of success. Right. And I'm like, man, maybe I just suck at teaching or what have you. But when we ended up meeting, and I'd already been running masterminds and things like that, I had found that our customers would get such a higher level of result if I could just give them a little bit of my time. And that didn't mean I had to meet with them individually one-on-one all the time. But when the group coaching setting or the mastermind setting came into play, it gave me the opportunity to get on their level. And then there were so many other benefits of it outside of that. But so I love that. I love that part about your story. So let's walk through a little bit about the process that you're teaching, and what you've been coaching me in as well, right? It's kind of like an 8-week mastermind, or is it 8 or 9? It's 8. Yep, 8-step mastermind process. And I love it because for a lot of you, literally, if you just did this process, you'd come out the other end of this with a 6-figure income, which for many of you would be further than you've ever made it online. So walk us through that process, Chris.
Yeah. So 8 weeks long. And here's why it's 8. When we started building out our first mastermind, it took me, I think, 7 weeks to close my first 6 or 7 people into our first mastermind. So it was about 7 weeks there. And then we started teaching other people how to build masterminds. And we realized, 8 weeks is kind of the time frame it takes the average person. Maybe we were a little faster than average. I don't know. The first 4 weeks, though, Josh, are all about figuring out who you want to help, what kind of help you want to give them, and then learning how to attract those people, make an offer, and sell it. Half of our program, the first half, is all about just attraction and selling. People think that having a mastermind is all about creating content and having a membership site and doing the teaching. We talked for 2 weeks about that because it's not that big a deal. The prospecting selling part actually tells you what your content should be. The people who fail in our program are the ones who build the content and try to sell it. You got to prospect and listen and sell whatever it is it's weird. They'll say you can be in a group and build an audience of people who are in real estate, let's say, and they want to figure out how to do more selling online using video. Cool. That's fun. But it's all going to come back down to like prospecting and lead gen for those people. You think it's a video course. It's not. They're going to talk about video for 5 minutes and they're going to talk about lead gen. It's going to be something you don't see coming, but something you know how to crack the code on. And that's what actually transforms people, is listening and helping them where they are.
Yeah, I love that, because when we first started our the Pantheon, right? This is one of our big masterminds that we run. And what we found was that I had done this course of things that I had kind of been hearing in the market. I'd worked with enough clients to know that these are the basic things they wanted, but we were having a hard time selling it at first. And what kind of opened the gates for us was when we started to just listen what they wanted and give it to them, right? Change the course. And I have changed that program 15 different times, right? Knocked out an entire module with multiple lessons and then replaced it with another thing, because I'm like, we can just touch on that. They already kind of understand that, but they really don't understand this piece, which naturally, it came to me naturally, but apparently it was something that everybody else didn't understand. So it needed to be put into the course. So yeah, I love that.
And I was so scared when I first started my first mastermind, and then pivoting to teaching people how to build masterminds. Originally, I was so scared because I thought there's no way I know enough, and there's no way that what I know is actually what they need to transform. But that's so not true. What each of you know right now, hanging out with us, is that you have already cracked the code on different pieces of your life, whatever that is. You used to didn't know that stuff, and it was painful, and then you fixed it. People want a faster way to get that fixed and to get it done. And so just teach them that, and they will love you for it, and it'll actually change their lives. And you
and
get paid while you're doing it. What a
right. Yeah.
crazy idea.
Well, you can get paid to do what people actually need.
I know.
See, what's so cool about that model, Tim, what I just have to highlight this point, because I met a guy the other day and he was telling me, he's like, the best way to build a program is to look at what you used to spend dozens of hours researching on YouTube that now you can literally knock out in 2 minutes. If you can figure out what those few things are, there's a program in there. Like there's something that you can sell in there, because people will pay you to shortcut the dozens of hours of research that you did to just watch you and consume your content. And I love that.
Absolutely.
That really is your methodology. You just put it
Absolutely
in words. I'm like, yep, that's Chris.
Yeah, it's true. Okay, so if you're, this is going to sound like a pitch. It's not a pitch. If you're struggling right now with, I've got this stuff in my head, I'm not sure it's the right thing my market wants, or I've tried to build content and sell that in the marketplace. I've tried to take my information, my know-how, and get it out there, and I'm just not getting any traction. Build a mastermind, because it allows you real time getting paid while you're getting real feedback in an organic way. Josh, you know this, I've never run a single ad to our mastermind programs. None of them. It's all organic, because the organic piece is what teaches you exactly what the market needs, but it's very easy to do. And people get tangled up trying to think of it in their own mind, when all you got to do is not go out and poll the audience. Don't send polls on Facebook. Just go out and build friendships and tell them what you're doing and say, how can I help? The next reply back in the message feed will be exactly what you want to teach on. They'll tell you. You don't have to ask them. They just tell you, how can I help? Oh, I'm struggling getting leads. Okay, let's jump on a call and talk about that.
And this is how I got on the call with you. So that's what I'm going to teach you how to do.
It's just relationships, right?
It's
always.
See, and what initially, and all of you know this, listening to this, I'm a huge advocate of hiring coaches, doing group coaching programs, or hiring one-on-one coaches. And the reason why is because I know they can shortcut the process for me. And a lot of people in the Pantheon, I was telling them about joining Chris's program. They're like, well, isn't that what you teach? I'm like, yes, but it's like, it's another method for us, right? So we talk about lead generation. I'm not just going to say, oh, well, he teaches lead generation, I don't want to work with him, right? It's a whole different type of lead generation, an extra layer that we can add into ours to shortcut the process. And I've done the same thing for other people in their programs, where we come in and we shortcut their process. And it's just, for me, it's been, joining these programs has been what really has helped me to A, shortcut the process, but B, I'm getting in circles of people who are hugely influential. And they're the type of people that 9 times out of 10, they're actually your ideal client when you go join these groups. That's the beautiful value of it.
It's really true. I've got several friends who are just in high ticket masterminds as their entire prospecting method, because they meet all their key connections, and they're paying $100,000 per mastermind, but they're meeting people who are totally the rock stars in any market. Yeah. So I'm going to say this too, for everybody listening. Josh and I have no connection, no financial relationship. There's no affiliate commissions, whatever, going back and forth, either one of us. All right. We've just gotten to know and respect each other in this process. Having a leader like Josh doing what he's doing, building real relationships with each of you, giving real content. I mean, you listen to the dude, he's for real. Lean in on that. Like, I'm a huge fan of coaching as well, meaning I take my own medicine. I'm looking for my next coach right now, and I know the area I want to get better in. You bet I'm going to freaking spend the money. It doesn't matter how much it costs, because I know that if I get a couple of wins with my new skill set, it will more than pay for the investment and the relationships. I mean, the coolest thing about mastermind leaders like Josh, and if I could, Josh, throw myself in the same bucket amazing masterminds. Um,
Do it. I'm going to throw it in the bucket for you. So I'll
is
hit you if you will.
if you got a good leader like Josh or like me, you're really buying into the group of friends that they have. I don't know how else to say that. It sounds so nasty that way, but it's like getting invited to the coolest house party in your town by the most influential people in your town. And you know that just 3 hours hanging out at that party, I mean, you're going to get invited to a whole year's worth of parties after that. It's true. It's the people in my group that make it awesome, not me. My job is just to throw a really cool house party and invite the right people. That's Josh's job. Get in the mastermind.
Yeah. And see, and what's so funny, Chris, is, and this is what people will look at. This is, I'm not gonna say people, me, this was my thought process before. I'm like, well, why would I pay you when I could pay like Russell Brunson or one of the top people, right, to go into their groups? But what I've been finding is when I join really high level masterminds like yours, but maybe you're not as famous as they are, you are very successful, right? But you've got a way more intimate group than they do, right? And so when I'm coming into these groups, and this is just prospecting free lesson for all of you, right? I'll just go into every single one of your calls and I just introduce myself to every single person in the group individually. I will message them on the Zoom calls and just say, hey, like it's nice to meet you. Thanks for saying that in the call. What do you do? And it's just crazy. I already have 4 meetings from your group. Just so
I was gonna say, I was in our group Q&A for our call today, Josh, and I mentioned your name. They brought up podcasting, and I was like, they're like, how do we monetize a podcast? I was like, you guys don't know yet. I said, there's this guy named Josh Tapp. He's in our mastermind. Like, you need to ask him because he's got it completely cracked. Like, he's figured it out. And they're like, and a bunch of them on the screen like, oh my gosh, I got to meet with that guy next week. I was like, man, and I just thought in my head, man, Josh is crushing it. I love this.
You're like, he's lucky.
Pro tips right there. Yeah.
That's the thing. That's what happens. It's just like this relationship synergy. And like Chris said, guys, we're not saying, hey, Chris, I'm going to promote you so I can get a commission out of this deal, right? We're having him on here. We did a swap. I went on to his show. He went on to mine now. And it's allowing us this opportunity to cross promote to each other's audiences and prove that we actually trust each other, right?
Yep.
And if Chris makes $100,000 out of this interview, and I don't see a penny, I am totally happy with that, right? Because he's going to come out of the deal with a win. I'm going to come out of the deal with a win, and then I'll go into his group and meet many people. It's just, I think people, they get too hung up on, well, I need to either traditional network, or they're just completely scared of talking to people. And that's what I want to talk to you about, Chris, with this, because I mean, we have already covered a lot of topics here, but with a mastermind, what makes it so much more different than just networking?
Yeah, it's because you got 2 things going. You got a group leader who's an expert. So those of you hanging out with is you're an expert in what you know how to do stuff that other people wish they could figure out, right? So you take your expertise, you're guiding them through a process. So they're already, the people in your group, their hearts, their minds are kind of already open, ready to receive. You're giving them this amazing insight set. And you might think, I don't have this amazing insight. You do. Trust me, you do. But you're doing that in context of a bunch of other people, let's say 5, 10, 20 people that are in the same group that you've invited the same group. Everybody there is there ready and open to learn and grow. When you put humans together like that, where they're driven, they want to grow, and they actually have somebody feeding them the opportunities to grow, it's like magic. It's not one-on-one relationships. The momentum of the group, I would say probably 5 to 10 times as fast of a transformation as you get one-on-one. I've completely quit one-on-one coaching. Somebody offered Josh, this is back in like November. This is the first time this has ever happened to me. I thought it was kind of crazy. Somebody offered $100,000 for me to come to their office for 3 days to do my thing with their team. I turned it down because I had learned already, I learned this a year or so ago, that it's the group that makes the transformation happen. And if I went to their office, I know that they would not get the value they would get out of the group. So I sold them our $30,000 mastermind instead. They got a screaming deal, and they were shocked that I was pivoting that way. But I was like, guys, I'm taking your $100,000 is the wrong thing to do. You'll get less out of it. You got to be in a group. The person next to you is going to ask a question that you didn't know to ask, but it's going to get you 4 weeks ahead just because they thought of it before you did. Like, just be in the group. So the thing is, folks, you guys got awesome expertise. You know something someone else wants to know. Figure out the group, learn how to prospect the right people that used to be you, and invite them to become like you. Put them all in one spot and help them grow together. It works. It so works.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And I almost just wanted to end the interview there, but then we haven't even promoted you yet, Chris. So
Well,
first
let's
off,
do that. That sounds fun.
so tell us about where people can connect with you, Chris.
Okay, so I would say the best place to hang out is in our Facebook group. We don't sell or pitch or anything in there, but we do answer the questions about how to build a group coaching program like this. And that would be the best place to hang out. Just hang out in our Facebook group. It's Elite Agency Inner Circle, Elite Agency Inner Circle. So if you're an expert, a coach or not currently, it doesn't matter. If you're an expert and you want to share that expertise, the fastest way to positive cash flow is not one-on-one or done for you. It is group coaching by far. And it's the easiest thing to prospect for organically. We literally just talk about that nonstop in that group. You ask your questions, post them publicly. I jump in the next day or two. I list out all the questions and I just detail every single thing that we do and how our program works. That way you can grow. We're all in this together. It's been a crazy time out there, and why not do it together? That's what we're there for.
I love that, Chris. So guys, make sure you go join that group. I mean, how do I put this? I've done a lot of Facebook groups in my time, right? But when you join a group like Chris is here, it's got a unique purpose. His goal is to educate you enough that you could go win without him, right? And then I'm just going to let you know, because you're not going to pitch it, Chris, but I'm going to pitch it. He's got one of the best masterminds you could ever be a part of. So definitely go check that out as well. So make sure you go check out the group and then go check out the mastermind as well. So Chris, I do want to end on one final note. So if you could leave our audience with one final parting piece of guidance, what would that be?
You're going to think this is silly, Josh, me pitching you back, but I mean this from the bottom of my heart. When I'm on interviews like this, you can see the quality difference between people who lead their communities. Josh, your heart is real. It's very evident. So the folks, you guys lean in. You got a leader here. You're listening to this guy for a reason. He's attracted your attention for a reason. He's the real deal. As another professional looking in from the outside of this, he's the real thing. So lean in, engage any way you can, start a conversation, get on a Zoom call with the guy, do something. But you got a unique opportunity here, and he's not a scammer. He's not a fly by night. He didn't just learn something from an e-course and he's out there trying to sell it now. He knows what he's doing. So soak it up.